Hello and welcome back to Learn English Smartly. Today's story is called Nothing is Free. It's a heart-touching tale of a boy named Leo, who learns the real value of life. This story is easy to understand, perfect for shadowing, and filled with motivation. So relax, listen carefully, and let's begin. Leo lived in a quiet village in northern Italy. His home was small, surrounded by green hills and old stone houses. He lived with his mother, Elena. She worked at a bakery every morning. Leo was 12 years old. He loved stories, chocolate, and bicycles. But most of all, he wanted new sneakers like his school friends. They had colorful shoes from the city. Leo wore the same old pair every day. One afternoon, Leo said to his mother, "Why can't I have new shoes like Matteo or Luca?" Elena looked at him. She smiled, but her eyes were tired. She placed warm bread on the table and said gently, "Leo, my love, nothing in this world is free. Everything has a price." Leo didn't understand. He thought his mother just didn't want to spend money. He crossed his arms and looked away. The next day, he skipped breakfast and went to school. On the way, he saw his friends laughing, riding bicycles, and showing off their new clothes. Leo felt sad. He felt small. At lunch, he didn't talk. He just stared at his old shoes. "Why am I the only one who doesn't have anything nice?" he thought. That night, he asked again, "Mom, why do we always have to be so poor?" Elena stopped washing the dishes. She dried her hands and sat beside him. Then she said something Leo never forgot, "Because I choose to give you everything I can. Not everything you want. Love, food, school, and a home, these are not free. I work for all of it." Leo blinked. His heart beat faster. He saw the small cracks in his mother's hands. He smelled the bakery flour in her hair. That night, for the first time, Leo said, "Thank you, Mama." She smiled, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "One day you'll understand. And one day, you'll stand tall on your own." The next morning, Leo woke up early. His mother was already gone, off to the bakery. The small house was quiet. Only the sound of birds outside the window. He poured himself milk and ate some bread. He looked at the old wooden table. The chair where his mother always sat. He remembered her words, "Love, food, school, and a home, these are not free." Leo decided to follow her. He walked through the narrow stone streets of the village. Past the church. Past the school. Past the tall pine trees. He reached the market, where the bakery stood. Inside, his mother was working. Her hands were moving fast, kneading dough, cutting bread, placing warm loaves in baskets. She smiled at customers, said good morning, and gave change from a small metal box. Leo stood in the corner and watched. For the first time, he saw what she did. How many hours she stood. How carefully she counted. How she smiled even when she was tired. An old woman entered. She looked poor, wearing a shawl and holding only a few coins. "Just one loaf, please," she said. Elena looked at the woman, then at the coins. She nodded and gave her 2 loaves. "Thank you," said the woman. "But I can't pay for 2. Elena smiled gently. Nothing is free, she said, but kindness. Kindness is a gift. Leo's eyes widened. He felt a warmth in his chest. His mother wasn't just working. She was giving, teaching, living with purpose. That evening, Leo sat with his mother on the porch. The sun was setting behind the hills. He asked, "Mama, can I help you at the bakery tomorrow?" She looked surprised. "Of course," she said, her eyes soft. Leo smiled. For the first time, he didn't want a bicycle or new shoes. He wanted to understand. He was starting to see, everything costs something: time, effort, love. And nothing is truly free. Leo started helping his mother at the bakery every weekend. He woke up early, cleaned the counters, arranged the bread, and sometimes greeted customers with a shy smile. At first, it was difficult. His hands hurt. His feet got tired. But slowly, Leo began to enjoy the work. The warm smell of fresh bread, the smiles of the villagers, and the joy of doing something real, it all made him feel proud. One day, his friend Matteo walked in with a brand new jacket. It was stylish, colorful, and expensive. Matteo smiled and said, "My dad bought it for me from the city." Leo looked down at his plain shirt, now covered in flour. For a moment he felt small again. But then he thought of his mother working behind the counter, her face tired but proud. He stood up straight and said, "That's nice," and handed Matteo his bread with a smile. That evening, Elena gave Leo a small coin. "This is your pay," she said. "You earned it." Leo looked at the coin. It wasn't much. Maybe enough to buy a pencil or a small snack. But it felt heavy in his hand. Not because of its weight, but because of what it meant. It meant time, effort, and contribution. He had earned something for real. He kept the coin in a wooden box under his bed. The days turned into weeks. Leo learned how to make perfect dough, how to talk to customers, and how to clean everything just right. He never complained. He was learning that hard work wasn't a punishment. It was a path. One evening, as they closed the bakery, Elena sat beside him on a bench. "You're growing fast," she said. Leo nodded. "I'm learning." She smiled. "Learning what?" "That nothing is free," Leo said. "And that's okay." Elena didn't speak for a moment. She just looked at her son and whispered, "Now you're richer than you think." Winter arrived in the village. The wind grew colder and the trees lost their leaves. The bakery stayed open every day, even when the roads were covered in snow. Leo worked by his mother's side, wearing an old scarf and gloves. He didn't complain, not even once. One afternoon, while sweeping snow from the front door, Leo saw a poster stuck to the bakery window. It read, "English language class free for village children. Location, village library time, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Taught by Mr. Harris, retired teacher from London." Leo had never seen anything like it. English. It sounded like something from another world. People in big cities spoke it. Tourists spoke it. Rich people spoke it. But here in this small village, could he learn it? That night, he showed the poster to his mother. "Elena," he said, "can I go?" She paused. "But it's on Saturday. That's our busiest day at the bakery." "I'll wake up earlier," Leo said quickly. "I'll finish my work first." "Please, Mama. I want to learn." Elena looked at her son. She saw the fire in his eyes. The same fire she had years ago when she dreamed of opening her bakery. "All right," she said softly. "But only if you don't skip your responsibilities." Leo hugged her tightly. "Thank you. I promise." That Saturday, Leo woke up before sunrise. He prepared dough, swept the floor, and wiped the counters. By 9:30, he was running through the snow to the library, his notebook in one hand and a pencil in the other. Inside, 5 children sat on wooden chairs. An old man with kind eyes stood near a blackboard. "Welcome," said Mr. Harris in slow, clear English. "Let's learn together." Leo smiled. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Hope. And that was enough to begin. Leo sat in the cold library with wide eyes. Mr. Harris, the English teacher, walked slowly in front of the blackboard, speaking gently. "Repeat after me," he said. "My name is," the children echoed his words. Leo whispered, "My name is Leo." It felt strange on his tongue, like tasting something new. He smiled shyly. "Next, how are you?" Leo repeated, a little louder, "How are you?" Each sentence was a small victory. Each word, a tiny door opening to a new world. Mr. Harris smiled and said, "Very good, Leo." That was the first time Leo heard someone say his name in English. It made his heart beat faster. It gave him courage. When class ended, Leo didn't run home. He walked slowly, saying the words again and again. "My name is Leo. How are you?" "I'm fine, thank you." He said them to the trees, to the sky, to the snow. The village felt different, as if something new had entered his life. Back at the bakery, his mother was waiting. "How was it?" she asked. Leo nodded. "It was amazing." He took out his notebook and showed her the words. Elena couldn't read them, but she smiled. Then she did something unexpected. She picked up a pencil and asked, "Will you teach me to?" Leo's eyes lit up. "Yes, Mama. We'll learn together." From that day on, every evening after dinner, Leo taught his mother the words he had learned. They practiced together by candlelight. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they got stuck. But they never stopped. Leo even began using simple English at the bakery. "Hello. Thank you. See you again." Customers smiled. Some corrected him gently. Others encouraged him. And slowly, the village began to notice. The boy who once dreamed of toys was now dreaming in another language. And behind him was a mother who had taught him the value of effort, and who was now learning from her son. One snowy morning, while sweeping outside the bakery, Leo saw the postman approaching with a brown envelope in his hand. "Elena," the postman called, "this is for you. From the city." Elena wiped her hands on her apron and took the envelope carefully. Her hand shook as she opened it. It was a letter from the village youth language program. They had heard about Leo and his learning group. A visitor from the city had seen him using English at the bakery and had written about him. The letter said, "We are pleased to offer Leo a scholarship to attend an English summer camp in the city, with full support." Leo froze. His eyes widened. His heart raced. "A scholarship," he whispered. "To the city." Elena looked at her son, trying to hold back tears. "Yes. You earned this." Leo ran into her arms. For a moment, they just stood there, holding each other in silence. The next few days were a mix of joy and fear. Leo had never left the village. The city was big, loud, strange. What if he didn't understand? What if he made mistakes? What if people laughed? But Elena took his hands and said, "Leo, remember, nothing is free. Not even courage. But you already paid the price with your effort. Now go and collect your reward." Leo nodded. Slowly. Bravely. On the morning of his departure, half the village came to say goodbye. Mr. Harris gave him a small English book. Mateo gave him a lucky keychain. His mother gave him a warm coat, and a note in his pocket that said, "Speak bravely. Learn joyfully. Come back with stories." Leo stepped onto the bus, eyes full of dreams. And as the bus drove away, Elena waved with pride and whispered to herself, "Nothing is free. But love makes every cost worth it." The bus stopped in front of a tall gate with a sign, "English Language Summer Camp, City Center." Leo stepped down slowly. The city was loud. Cars honked. People moved quickly. Tall buildings surrounded him like mountains made of glass and metal. He held his bag tightly and took a deep breath. Inside the camp, there were kids from many places. Some wore stylish clothes. Some spoke English fluently. Leo felt nervous. He looked at his worn-out shoes and simple bag. For a moment he thought, "Maybe I don't belong here." But then he remembered his mother's words, "Nothing is free. But you already paid with your effort." He stood up straight. The first activity was Introduction in English. Each student had to come forward and speak. When it was Leo's turn, he walked slowly to the front. He looked at the faces around him, took a deep breath, and said, "Hello, my name is Leo. I come from a small village. I learn English with my mama. I love English, and I want to speak better." There was silence. Then applause. A teacher smiled and said, "Very brave, Leo. Very clear. Well done." Leo's heart felt light. He had spoken. And he had not failed. That week, Leo worked hard. He listened carefully. He took notes. He practiced with his roommates, even when they laughed at his mistakes. He laughed too. He knew mistakes were part of learning. One afternoon, a girl named Sophie sat beside him. She said, "You speak English with heart." Leo smiled. "I speak English with hope." By the end of the camp, Leo had made friends, improved his English, and even helped shy students speak. His confidence grew like a tree that finally found the sun. When the camp ended, a teacher gave him a small certificate. It said, "Leo, for courage, effort, and heart in learning." He folded it carefully, placed it in his bag, and whispered, "This is just the beginning." Leo returned to the village with a small bag, a big smile, and a bigger heart. He stepped off the bus and looked around. The bakery, the hills, the snowy trees, everything looked the same. But he was not the same. Elena ran to him and hugged him tightly. "My boy," she whispered, "you've grown." That night, as they sat by the fireplace, Leo shared every detail of the camp, the lessons, the new friends, the laughter, and the applause. He took out his certificate and placed it in his mother's hands. She looked at it with teary eyes. "I can't read it," she said. Leo smiled. "Then I'll read it for you." And he did, slowly, clearly, proudly. The next morning, something magical happened. Kids from the village knocked on the bakery door. "Leo," they said shyly, "will you teach us English too?" Leo looked at his mother. She nodded. He cleared a table, brought out his notebook, and said, "Okay. Let's begin. Say after me, 'My name is,'" and just like that, a new chapter began. He wasn't just a student now, he was a teacher, a leader, a light. More weeks passed. A visitor from the city returned, the same one who wrote the article that brought Leo's scholarship. When she saw the little English group in the bakery, she smiled and said, "Leo, would you like to record your story? To inspire other children across the country?" Leo looked down, then up. He thought about fear, failure, cold mornings, and the words his mother once said, "Nothing is free. But effort creates opportunity." He nodded. "Yes. I would love to." The small bakery that once sold only bread and hope was now known as the Little English Corner. Every evening, village kids sat with notebooks and bright eyes, repeating after Leo. "Good morning. My favorite color is blue. I have a dream." Each sentence built a foundation. Each mistake was a stepping stone. Word by word, Leo helped others break their silence, the same silence he once feared. One day, Leo received a call from the city. The youth program had launched a Voices of Change campaign, a series of short stories by students who had overcome hardship through learning. They wanted Leo to share his journey on stage. At first, Leo hesitated. "Speak on stage? Me?" He looked at his reflection in the mirror and remembered the bakery floor where he used to sit, listening to foreign tourists. The night he taught his mother. The day he read a certificate aloud. He nodded slowly. The hall was large. The lights were bright. The audience silent. Leo took a deep breath and stepped forward. Then, with a calm but strong voice, he said, "Hello. My name is Leo. I come from a small village. I used to be afraid of English. I failed many times. But I kept speaking. I never stopped. Because I knew every word was a step. And I wanted to walk far." People clapped. Some wiped away tears. After his talk, a little girl walked up to him and said, "I want to learn English too, just like you." Leo smiled and replied, "Then start today. And don't stop." Months later, Leo sat outside the bakery with a cup of tea. Snowflakes drifted down slowly, and laughter echoed from inside, where children were learning English. A new sign hung above the door, Leo's Learning Corner, Speak Anyway. He smiled. Everything had changed, and yet nothing had. He still lived in the same village. Still helped his mother bake bread. Still taught with the same passion. But now his story had reached places he had never even seen. One morning, a letter arrived. It was from an organization in Europe. They had heard Leo's speech through the Voices of Change program. They were starting an online language initiative for underprivileged communities and needed a youth ambassador who could speak, inspire, and guide. They chose Leo. The boy who had no internet, no tutor, no fluent parent, only a dream and a reason to never give up. On the day of his first global webinar, Leo stood in front of a camera, nervous but calm. He looked into the lens and said, "Hello, friends. If you feel like you're failing, like you're not smart enough, or that English is too hard, listen to me. I failed again and again. But I spoke anyway. And I found my voice. You will too." The chat filled with hearts and messages. "Thank you, Leo. You inspire me. I believe I can do it now." Back in the village, Elena watched the screen proudly. She wiped a tear and whispered, "My son is teaching the world." As the snow fell and children practiced verbs in the bakery, Leo looked at the notebook where it all began. One page had a sentence, written in shaky letters. "I want to speak English." Now, on the last page, he wrote, "I spoke. I failed. I learned. I taught. I believed. I changed lives. Nothing is free. But every word was worth it." And that was the story of Leo, a boy who didn't have perfect English, but had something far more powerful, the courage to keep speaking. He failed. He cried. He stumbled. But he never gave up. And because he kept going, today, he is inspiring thousands around the world, including you. So, no matter where you are, no matter how broken your English feels, speak anyway. Because every sentence is a step. Every word is progress. And every time you try, you're already winning. Thank you for joining me today on Learn English Smartly. If Leo's story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and remember, your English doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. So speak. Speak proudly. Speak anyway. See you in the next video.